Hi-yo, boys and girls. Welcome to the channel, Salty Reacts. This is Salty. Super exciting, I know. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. How's the family and them? Give them a hug for me. The crazy uncle on the back porch. We're just out there. Might be me. Might be a couple of us out there. We're just having a beer, having a good time. Trying to, anyways. I'm an old geezer. I normally react to all kinds of different stuff from different genres. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. Recent comments on reactions and stuff kind of spurred my memory on things that I've done in the past. For the better part of a decade, I did a 3 to 5 hour show 3 days a week, live broadcast, call-in discussions, politics, humor, parodies, all kinds of good stuff. And one of the segments that I always had, well, didn't always have it, but after a couple of years it took off, and it was like a weekly segment. It was called Salty's Story Time. Think of it like a Paul Harvey with attitude. Story times were, well, sometimes they were how I felt, and sometimes they were presented in a way to promote discussion. Regardless, today we're doing one that is, well, it was pretty much exactly how I felt at the time, and pretty much still do. This was in April of 2015. This first aired. A little story time here for the Fight for 15 crowd out there. You'll be able to tell during the time this was the walkouts from the fast foods and all that kind of good stuff. So anyways, check it out. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, comment, share. This is a little, yeah, the kids out there that like to explain Marxism and stuff to me. This is for you.
Hold the pickle, hold the lettuce, special orders don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way.
Dear fast food workers, it's come to my attention that many of you, supposedly in 230 cities across the country, walked out on your jobs protesting for $15 an hour. You earnestly believe that your entry-level gig pushing buttons on a cash register at Taco Bell ought to earn you double the current federal minimum wage. Indeed, you've been led to this conclusion by pandering politicians and liberal pundits who possess neither the slightest grasp of the basic rules of economics nor even the faintest hint of integrity. I am aware, of course, not all of you feel this way. Many of you might consider your position as a Whopper assembler to be a rather temporary situation, not a career path. And you plan on moving onward and upward, not by holding a damn poster with, "Give me more money," scrawled across it, but by working hard and being reliable. To be very, very clear here, I'm not addressing the folks in this camp. You guys are doing what needs to be done, and I respect that. Instead, I want to talk to those of you who actually consider yourselves entitled to close to a $29,000 a year full-time salary for doing a job that requires no skill, no expertise, no education. Guys are nuts. You folks who think a fry cook ought to earn an entry-level income similar to a dental assistant. Those who insist the guy putting lettuce on a Big Mac ought to make more than the emergency medical technician who saves lives for a living. Those who believe you should automatically be able to, here's the air quote, for live comfortably, as if comfort is a right. To those in this category, I have a few things I need to say. It's for your own sake at this point. First, let me start with a story. It's anecdotal, obviously, but then this whole hashtag Fight for 15 movement is based entirely on anecdotes anyways, so here we go. I'll submit my own anecdote. I started working when I was about 15 years old. Minimum wage then was $3.35 an hour. I worked in a bicycle shop, assembling Schwinn bicycles by hand, changing bike tires, repairing chains, aligning wheels, brake repair, you name it. Shop owner, he taught me how to do it. From there, door-to-door newspaper sales. It was a dishwasher, telephone sales, door-to-door vacuum sales, for Christ's sake. Short order cook, lawn maintenance, furniture sales, roofer, carpenter, corrections officer for the state of Florida, Domino's pizza driver, and then after a while I moved into management. Money got better with experience. Then after doing all of these crazy jobs, I decided, hey, it's time to go to school. Now, when I started school, during my entire first year, I worked as a bouncer at a nightclub, back to making that minimum wage, which at this point in time was $4.25 an hour. My second year, I managed to get a job as a repair technician working for the school, making about $6 an hour, fixing computers and test equipment, lab equipment, stuff like that. Legitimately a technical job. My third year, I was able to also gain a position as a laboratory and teaching assistant. This got me up to about $6.50 an hour, all the while gaining more experience. So, after graduating with the ability to literally design and build communication systems for fucking satellites, the ability to build autonomous robots, the ability to write 3D video games.
But yeah, still got it.
The ability to build multiplexing laser transmitters, for fuck's sake, from scratch. I get my first job at commensurate in pay and position considering my experience and skill. I installed cash register systems in grocery stores, and I made $15.38 an hour. I was in my late 20s, and I was finally making this comfortable living. It took me over a decade to get there. Now, you think the jobs I had when I was 16 should have provided me with a comfortable living that I had just established in my late 20s? Frankly, I think you're completely damned delusional. Now, to understand how delusional, consider that a $15 an hour full-time salary would put you in the same ballpark, if not higher, as biologists, auto mechanics, biochemists, teachers, geologists, bank tellers. And you have a hard time lining up the cheese on a burger. You'd be making more than some police officers. And yeah, I would like fries with that. You'd easily make more than most firefighters. Damn it, you forgot the fries again. Ironically, you'd be fast food workers with starting salaries higher than many professional chefs. Which is, it's a bit like paying a tattoo artist less than the person who paints cat whiskers on you at the fucking carnival. You'd easily be halfway to the income of accountants, engineers, and physical therapists. Now, does that sound fair? I know it might sound fun, but does it sound fair? These are highly skilled jobs that require years of training and education. These are jobs which, in some cases, society profoundly relies upon. Jobs with enormous responsibilities. Jobs that are considerably more complex and complicated than refilling the soda fountain at Wendy's. And no, I'm not trying to insult you. So get off of that. I'm not. But when you claim that you ought to be able to stroll into the old In-N-Out burger and be immediately rewarded with a salary higher than crane operators and medical lab technicians, then somebody needs to talk some sense into you. Sorry about your luck. I wish I didn't have to point out that you're doing something which is fundamentally worth very little. But when you stomp your feet and insist that you should be handed what some of us have worked decades to earn, that's when it becomes time for, as the youths of today might say.
What was that word? Did you say utes? What is a ute?
Oh, excuse me, Your Honor. Youths.
As the youths of today might say, some real talk. So, real talk. As plain and simple as I can put it. Here you go. You ready? Now pay attention to this. Your job isn't worth $15 an hour. Now, let that sink in. Sure, as a human being, you're priceless. As a child of nature, you're precious. A work of art, a complete and total miracle. Now, everybody insert your cute little heart emoji right here. Aww, isn't that nice? But your job wrapping hamburgers in foil and putting them in paper bags, well, that has a price tag. And that price tag ain't anywhere close to what our economy and society puts on teachers and mechanics. You don't like it? Well, you shouldn't. It's fast food. It's menial. It's mindless. And not for nothing, currently designed so a person with a third grade education should be able to figure it out. Typically, it's not supposed to be a career. An entry-level position making roast beef sandwiches at Arby's, it isn't meant to be something that you do for 26 friggin' years. It isn't paying you enough? All right, fine. Get another job. Get a second job. Get a third job. Get a different job. At some point, you have to grow up and put on your big kid pants. Trust me when I say, this is far better than asking the government to force your employer to pay you significantly more than the market could possibly tolerate. I know you might not care about the economics of this thing. After all, admittedly, you're not economists. However, with $15 an hour, you're just about the same income bracket as an economist. But it should be of interest to learn that $15 an hour minimum wage would represent what is called a steep tax on jobs. That's what it's called. And the problem is simple. When you tax something, you get less of it. Now, why, you might ask? Because despite what Elizabeth Warren might tell you, these fast food franchise owners have a finite amount of money to spend on operating expenses. Finite means that supply has limits. Okay, all right. They aren't making millions in profits. Most of them anyways. So when you come along and say, hey, your labor cost just doubled, congratulations, that business owner will be forced to make decisions. And it's not about what he or she wants to do. It's what they'll have to do. And those decisions will likely start with the most obvious. You hire less and you fire more. Now, if you survive this little first cut, which if you're skipping work to hold signs in the parking lot, I ain't so sure about your chances here. But if you do survive this first cut, then you'll have to deal with greater expectations, more responsibilities, and less room for error. In other words, at a minimum, you won't get away with treating your customers like shit anymore. But after a while, and it's already on the way, as automation technologies become more and more ubiquitous, that means found everywhere or popular. Okay, your employer will look for the first chance to replace your ass with a machine that can do the same thing far more efficiently and for less money. And it's not that he'll want to, necessarily. It's that he'll have to in order to keep his business afloat. Extensive investigations have demonstrated a causal link between job loss and minimum wage hikes. And even the Congressional Budget Office says that a minimum wage of right around $10 an hour, that could cost the country over 500,000 jobs. Now, besides, what we're talking about here, well, or what you're talking about, it's not an incremental hike, but a massive, sudden, holy shit, you gotta be kidding me, dramatic, calamitous spike that upends the economy and, in one instance, makes low-skill, fast food employment more profitable than dozens of far more skilled, far more important types of jobs. Do you think this can happen in a vacuum? Do you think that we can magically take a 17-year-old Wendy's employee, give him a salary commensurate with law enforcement officers and emergency medical workers, and everything will just continue along as normal? No. These jobs have a value in the economy. You use the sledgehammer of government to flip the scales upside down like that, and you end up far into the land of, it's called unintended consequences. Now, what would those consequences be? Yeah, it's hard to know exactly. I imagine, for one thing, given the, and it's called the profit versus effort required calculation, we'll have far more people becoming Subway sandwich artists and drive-through order takers, and one hell of a reduction in the number of people putting out fires, teaching children, and building bridges. That is, unless these other professions can raise their incomes to compete, which they can't afford to do. So look for the inevitable mass firings to extend well beyond the doors of your fast food establishment and out into virtually every other industry in the country. This is to say nothing of the hike in living expenses that will naturally follow when millions of people are given a huge collective raise overnight. And also, you could avoid working your way up the income ladder like everybody else had to do. Hey, now, don't go off thinking that your lack of $15 an hour income puts you in some kind of special victim category. All these other people, they had to undergo years of training and education to finally get a job that pays them what you want to make working at McDonald's. So what are they? Are they suckers? What was the point, right? Why did they do it? And why do you deserve to skip over the hard part? You know, that part where you make sacrifices, maybe go a little hungry and do what it takes to make ends meet, just so you can inherit, by governmental decree, what these people worked years to attain. Why? Well, you don't. And that's okay. The job you have right now isn't the point. It's a stop along the way, not the final destination. You want to live comfortably. I get it. It's a fine goal. But it's just that. It's a goal. The government can't give you your goals on a silver platter. One way or another, you have to achieve them for yourself. Believe me, I know it isn't easy, and I know it's not particularly enjoyable to work for crap money in a job that you hate. I've done it. Your parents have probably done it. Millions and millions and millions of people have done it, and they're still doing it. There's nothing special about your situation, which, you know, if you think about it like that, is something that you should probably take comfort in that. You're not alone. So here's my suggestion. Put down the sign. Pull up your pants. Tuck in your shirt. Plaster a fake smile on your face. Go to work. Flip those burgers and work those cash registers like your life depends on it. Do it like it's your art. Like it's your passion. Like it's your mission on earth. Like it's a goddamn snakebite antidote. Take some pride in what you're doing. Whatever it is. Not because it's fast food. Because it's what you do. Take on extra shifts if you can. Work holidays if you have to. Do whatever it takes. And by that, I mean whatever it takes. I guarantee you that you won't be wearing that White Castle uniform forever. I know you don't want to. And, well, you shouldn't want to. That's why you should stop trying to make this job comfortable and start trying to make it just a rung on a ladder to a better place, whatever that place may be. You know, that's part and parcel of growing up. That's just life. You don't deserve $15 an hour to work in a drive-thru, but you might deserve a hell of a lot more to do something else. And that, my friends, is the simple power of truth.
Simple power of truth. That was one of the, it was a tagline for one of the first stations that I was with. That was Raz Radio Live. And it was a Salty Talk was the name of the show, and it was RazRadioLive.com, SaltyTalkRadio.com, and then picked up a few other affiliates and so forth and so on. And we had loads of fun. Anyways, if you would like me to dig up some more of these, I have hundreds of them. I did a bunch. And regardless, you know what? It's all just for fun, right? Like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the dinger button. Love you guys. Hugs to you, hugs to your family. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.